voices in our heads now have a frequency. America's first competition talk show. You're in the hub.
Good day to you. It is Wednesday, April 28th, 2010. I am your host, Joel Aaron. Glad to have you on the Hub Show watching us this week. And we're joined today and all week long by Leah, who is our Hub Pledge on the show this week. And up against our returning winner from the last week's Face-Off debate, up with yeah, Jared. Sorry, I'm skipping a blank here. I know. Fire the host. Get the host off the panel. All right, we got to talk about this a little bit because Stephen Hawking really made a name for himself this week again. Okay, the man's made a name for himself. He's a physicist. He's a genius. But he showed his prowess, I guess, this week by explaining that he believes aliens undoubtedly exist, but he's encouraging us not to talk to them because it could be dangerous. Just don't talk. Now, he's going to line himself up, I'm thinking, on George Norrie Coast to Coast. Because with this, he's just, and why is it every time I'm listening to Stephen Hawking, I feel like I'm listening to Peter Frampton. I'm here. So that's the thing. Is he going to hurt his career with this? Is he going to put himself in a different category, Jared, or is this okay for him?
I'm gonna stay away from the speak and say comments, but I think Hawking's made a name for himself, and if he's a little crazy about aliens, then so be it. I think at this point in time, the guy's definitely a little out there on things, but I don't know what to do with the don't talk to the aliens. Maybe they just will fly by.
Well, I mean,
is that the I don't know what he's been watching the V on ABC, and he thinks that they're actually coming and they're going to take over after they give us free healthcare.
Well, I'm saying, apparently a lot of Americans already believe this sort of stuff because for you were saying off air, the reason we actually have the top of the hour sound ID in radio broadcasting these days, the top of the hour they established the station is the station you're listening to, is because formerly, we were concerned about the alien influence and that we might actually have them, right? So
well, and that's probably why we shouldn't really be talking about this.
You're
making
right.
A big deal of it,
We
because
could be
people get the
discovered.
wrong idea. I mean, if you actually read the article, Stephen Hawking pretty much says, look, we're finding life in all kinds of places, deep volcanic vents and way down deep underwater. So, the chances that there's going to be life out there are, just numerically it's going to happen. Now, should we get scared and run for the hills and start digging our trenches? No.
But see, numerically it's going to happen. That's almost like, okay, it can happen, therefore it must be happening. It's just like a logic leap.
Are they going to contact us? Maybe not. And he does go on to say, well, we shouldn't try and contact them. And he brings in a good analogy there. We'd kind of be like in the Native Americans' position, and they would be sort of the colonists coming over, and well, you know how that worked out historically.
Yeah.
So
well, for them. So
pretty sound advice.
You never know. All right. So, we're in the twilight zone in a lot of areas right now because, if you've heard about this, earlier this week, we learned that the Securities and Exchange Commission, there may be one reason why Wall Street went belly up a couple of years ago, because back in 2007, they began developing a really, really large porn habit at the Securities and Exchange Commission. Apparently, all they thought about there was sex. Well, they did think about the exchange, I guess, quite a bit here. But the most interesting number, apparently, that they were following was 69, and all the rest be damned. One of the things they found out, though, that was kind of interesting in this study was in the Securities and Exchange Commission is that they were spending, some of them, as many as 16,000 hours a year watching porn while they were working on the government payroll. And the thing about this is they found that a lot of these were the highest earners working for the SEC. Over $200,000 a year. These were the ones making the big money. So does it surprise you? It doesn't surprise you, Leah.
It doesn't surprise me if they're the highest earners. They have the least supervision. Who else is going to get away with it? They're saying 8 hours a day of watching porn. Does it? That's just got to be one of those areas where I think men and women are hardwired differently. I'm thinking 8 hours of watching porn a day. That pretty much is a job. Wouldn't it get boring after a while? I mean,
You would think so, yes.
do they
Probably
pay
pretty tiring.
video editors in the porn industry? Because they don't need to. Apparently, there's SEC people they'll do it.
Well, I'm assuming they were
voluntarily.
just watching, so it wasn't as, tiring as it could have been.
Okay, so they're not hitting the rewind and fast forward as much.
But Jared, what?
Yeah, you're winding and fast forwarding. That's exactly what was going to tire them out.
But I mean, they were. This is just kind of. I mean, it's interesting to me. One of the gentlemen, a senior attorney at the SEC's Washington headquarters, they said spent up to 8 hours a day looking at and downloading pornography. He ran out of room on his hard drive. So he moved it to CDs and DVDs and started stockpiling these things in boxes, which I guess is why we need more space at the SEC now. While they're talking about building new buildings, they're running out of space for
Dark
the
high
He
porn.
asked for
Yep.
more space and they
So
denied him. So.
it's a titillating experience working over there. But he agreed to resign, and he's now seen, I guess, enough gyno videos that he's working at the Department of Health and Human Services. On a serious note, does it complicate integrity in the public sector when you compromise your integrity in the private sector? I mean, it's
Absolutely.
inevitable that it leaks from one level to the next.
Absolutely, and the fact that, I mean, it is a government agency. I mean, really, they work for the taxpayers. So, I mean, you really expect them to uphold a higher standard, certainly.
Yeah, but I mean, is it really that you can separate the two? I don't think that you can. One kind of influences the other, right?
Well, yeah, I don't think that this is really anything where they
Had a
Well, it's
direct
not-
impact on the markets
No,
because
it's not the private. It's not the morals or a lack of morality in the private sector leaking into the public sector. So the public sector has no incentive to do anything efficiently or well, and so nobody was paying any attention to what was going on inside.
Well, it is time for the face-off debate. Every week on the program on Wednesday, we face off a panelist who either won last week or if they won last week, like Jared won last week, coming back to defend his spot on the panel. The challenger, the Hub Pledge this week, is actually Leah, who I guess you call this a co-ed fraternity, so to speak.
Well,
so,
thank you.
Well, you're welcome. So Leah's on the program to
be a
challenge
proud member.
Jared to get at the win this week, and you can post your votes all week long by watching the Wednesday YouTube video, posting your vote in the comments section, and then we'll tell you which one of these two folks won next week on the show. All right, topic right now: Barack Obama earlier in the week said actually came out with a video on the DNC's website encouraging Latinos, minorities, and women to vote this fall because they constituted about 50 million folks in the 2008 election. They came out in mass to push Barack Obama through to the top, and they need them again this year because the wide talk is that Republicans are just going to rule the House after November. So the question I have is, given his track record up to this point, Barack Obama, does he help Democrats at this point by coming out and making these kind of challenges, or does he hinder their hopes in November? Leah, ladies go first, so you get the first say. 90 seconds on the clock, 45 seconds per person. Go.
I would say it definitely hinders them. He doesn't have that star quality that he used to in the past years. I think before, people who normally would not vote would get out there because, we got to get a black man in the office. We got to, make a push, get our guy out there. And now there really isn't that. And I think a lot of people had their hopes up for his presidency and they've been disappointed. You mentioned Latinos and some of these other groups. I'm not exactly sure how they perceive him. I know certainly a lot of folks that were hoping he would do more for gay rights have been very disappointed. He's done just little piecemeal, bits, hospital visitations, none of the big dramatic changes people are looking for. So if those groups don't feel like he's made enough of a change for them, I just don't see them being invigorated.
He's a polarizing figure, and he is making the change, but it's not the change everybody wanted. So that doesn't help. So Leah's saying it will hinder them to have him coming out making these
Absolutely.
challenges. All right, 45 seconds on the clock for a rebuttal. Jared, go.
Well, I don't think it's going to help or hinder because that assumes that those voters are going to come back out to the polls and that he actually has the pool of people that he has or that he had 2 years ago. He's done nothing. It's not this that's hindering him. It's everything else that he's done that's hindering him. People have realized that this is not the guy that we really wanted in office. Our choices before were this guy or that really old guy that might have died in office, and people weren't real warm on either one of them. So, yeah, I think he sort of won by default the last time around, and now that people have a good sense for who he is, he's in a lot of trouble, and his party's in a lot of trouble, at least in the next turnaround. So.
All right. Well, there you have it. All right, it is Jared versus Leah. Post your vote in the comments section of the YouTube video. We'll tell you who won next week on Wednesday on the show. And we will see you tomorrow on The Hub.